Shooting it raw?
Yes. Shooting it raw. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay. So it's a photo of a book, and it says perspectives. And on the cover of the book is a kind of a Polaroid. I mean, the way it's designed, I guess it looks like a Polaroid of two. You don't see the feet. You just see like two shoes, like red Converses and maybe some white just sneakers on a wooden deck. And it says, building meaningful connections by learning 4 steps to courageously speak up by Kendra Q Dodd. And the book is on like a towel, which could be on a sofa of sorts. There's a photo, there's like somebody's phone there. It's a photo of your book. Hallelujah. So there's a question there. You answer whatever question you think is in there.
I don't know what question it could be. Like, you wrote a book? Yeah, I wrote a book. Why would it be on a towel with a phone? Because, I think sometime so yes, I wrote a book. I reflect on it myself, right? It's a tool. How I ended up, what made me finally write it isn't all the reasons of what I did, but it's what I wanted it to be. But it is an opportunity where all the things we talked about, where you can reflect or you can get to know others. And then also how to honestly have conversations with others and get to know others, right? That awareness, that conversations that I had before. So it's a very interactive book. It's not something that, ooh, let me be entertained. It is some work. I've had some professional evaluations. They're like, for someone that wants to be entertained. So it's something that you can do leisurely. And so that's why I'll take it with me. I was like, okay, let me sit. I'll even use it myself. I know some client, I know one person that they keep it on their desk, and because it has a 4-step process of, okay, I'm in customer service. Let me pick up the book and read something to help me through customer service. So it's very interactive in nature, but it can go as far and as short as you want it to. Like I have someone that I know purchased a book, and they reached out to me and they're like, is 6 months an okay goal to read the book? Yes. It's not something that if you read this book in one sitting, you haven't done the work. It's something that's thought provoking. It's something that spends time. Even if you say it takes a year, it is something you can pick up and put down. It's something, let me go sit by the pool and let me bring it up and and you don't have to start anywhere. There are like 3 sections of it. The first part of it is self-reflection. How did I become me? And the middle part is how we can be different from each other, like different daily things in which we can have conflict. And the last part are some case studies or challenges and activities.
So in essence, your book is this your first book?
It's my first. It's my first.
Okay, well done. So your first book is essentially like a coaching manual, really. It's like a self-coaching manual. And you called it Perspectives. And the choice of perspectives is all about points of view of how to see, so it's the selection, for example, of the photo of on the cover of the book is like a quasi Polaroid of somebody's making a photo of their feet with somebody else. So clearly it's a connection of one person with another person. And the different perspective, for example, of how 2 people are meeting, because you're not really looking at the other; you're looking at each other's feet, which is kind of a deflection. I'm just saying what's coming to my mind, right?
Yeah.
So, and you've mentioned the word conflict. So, how much of your work is conflict resolution?
A lot of it, of having to navigate through it. A lot of it is conflict resolution, and what they call, so those feet, as you look on it, are actually on a bridge. And so when we hit conflict, when someone says something that we disagree with, there could be levels of it. It may make you gulp a little bit or swallow a little bit, or it may make you just pause a little bit and say, why would they do or say that? I call that a bridge moment. And we can make a choice to stand in front of each other, right? Not look away, and kind of look at each other and engage in do disarming statements. I talk about disarming statements of how can I engage to understand that person more.
Mm.
But instead, a lot of times, what we do when we hit a bridge moment is we kind of let it pass. So I go my way of thinking, and you never learn what that other person is truly thinking and their intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I'm trying to do is, before it becomes really a conflict, it's during those little bridge moments where, let's say I have curly hair. Let's do something simple of, you know what? I think I like your hair straight. That doesn't sit right, right? That doesn't land
Mm-hmm.
right. But I don't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, I'm like, can you help me understand why you would say that?
Yeah.
Right? That's that bridge moment of let me engage more and then help them understand your perspective of how, that made me go, why do I why do you think I look better
Right.
if my hair was straight?
Okay. So when you got to the moment where you're like, I'm going to put this into a book form, was it more of a for lack of a better term, a business development? I'm going to do this as a means to promote my coaching. I'm going to do this because I need a kind of a document or I need a tool that I can leave with a client to say, okay, look, when we're not together, this is kind of work that you can do on your own. What was the decision point that sparked that? Did it come from the market? Did it come from clients saying, I wish I could have like, why did this come up that you wanted to put
Yeah.
together a book?
People talked about it too, but to tell you the impetus and the key point of making me do this, I live in Minnesota, right? I wrote this book. It came out in 2021.
Ah.
If you go back into 2020, I live in Minneapolis. It
Mm-hmm.
hit the world. It was the killing of George Floyd.
Right. Right.
We were in the mecca of that, and clients were coming to me. If you think about how the world felt, can you think about being in that center
Wow.
of that killing? Things were happening that it didn't show on TV that were
Mm-hmm.
happening in my city. And people were needing help of how to process through a pandemic, process through this killing,
Mm-hmm.
process. The people were coming to our town doing some things that you didn't see. And I was only one person. I was
Mm-hmm.
being spread thin. I was on this call, that call. I would do these sessions with people. And what can I do to help people? Things were coming up and things were said. Also in America, you also had the elections.
Mm-hmm.
So during all of this turmoil in 2020, I felt I just started writing. And so it
Mm-hmm.
was lethargic in a way, but also I felt people were like, what can I do to help? Like, I don't know, and I don't know how to process. So that is what made me really start putting pen to paper or
Right.
typing.
I mean, maybe the audio came funny. Did you said it was lethargic or cathartic?
Cathartic.
Okay, because
Did I
lethargic
say
is.
lethargic? It
I
was
don't know.
lethargic.
I don't
No,
know.
cathartic. Yeah, that's not the word.
No,
And I
but
am a writer, yes. But no, it was.
yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you? Okay, so for the people who Floyd's name, when you said it, I certainly remember that time. But can you kind of summarize from your perspective? Can you bridge, what that was like? Like why? Okay, so me being in Hong Kong,
Hmm.
arguably as far away on the other side of the planet. I mean, not technically true, but metaphorically true. Like very far away from it. How do
Hmm.
you bridge that gap, that distance, to say this is what it felt like at the time? And look, even though it was years ago, it wasn't that long ago, right? Like, why don't you kind of summarize and bridge that gap for a listener to say, like, this is kind of what happened and this is what it felt like?
Um, well, it hit me personally. First of all, you had law enforcement that has been accused at that time and where it began of killing a citizen.
Mm-hmm.
And people were saying bad things about the police officers
Mm-hmm.
and what that is. So here's a little peek under the tent more for me. My father was a police officer.
Right.
So I grew up in law enforcement. I have pictures of understanding that. There then is the race element of this,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so then I am a person of color. People can't see me. So then I have a father that is a person of color. And so you have all of these mixed reviews of police, what that looks like,
Mm-hmm.
brutality, law enforcement. Then you have a race mechanism of this. So I'm feeling that. And then people are saying, what does that mean for me? And then the concept of death, the fact that someone dying on video, this is
Mm-hmm.
videotaped. So seeing someone literally life taken from them on
Mm-hmm.
video is jarring. And then you
Mm-hmm.
have people were coming into our town and our city causing ruckus. There
Okay.
were fires, there was burnings, there were people that were in all white cars. Like, friends were calling me, or is everything okay? Because I'm not from here. I'm like, I'm fine. I'm in the suburbs. Well, guess what? These people start visiting in the suburbs. They
Mm.
were all black tinted windows. All of a sudden in the mornings, bricks would show up. And
Oh.
then there would be riot, people would have peaceful protests, but these people that were visiting our city, and some of them not, would have these bricks and then start bricks and fights start coming, and then the police have to get involved, and then all of a sudden the military got involved.
Mm-hmm.
These were heightened sense of, and I would have these free. I started having free sessions of how can we talk through this? How are you feeling? And then you would have then conflict within people of the same races that would have.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'll have people that were from immigrant backgrounds disagreeing with people with non-immigrant. It just became chaos of fear.
Mm-hmm.
And some of this fear had to do with many things that they didn't deal with that then built up became a perspective
Mm-hmm.
that was maybe false
Yeah.
or a stereotype. And how can I lessen this?
Mm-hmm.
And it only starts in the day to day. It starts in how do we cross over to each other. And it was very intense at that time because there was this fear of, am I safe?
Mm-hmm.
This perceptions, and then like I said, it continued to grow. So every time I started to write and our research, I did a lot of research too within this book. This wasn't just a fiction. This was
Mm-hmm.
let me research and understand, why are there differences, why are there conflict, why are people saying this thing, why all of a sudden if there's an issue from people of descendants of slaves, from immigrants that are within the same race.
Right.
I didn't understand, or the concept of women or men and places, and people were seeking me for professional help to navigate through these conflicts within the workplaces. It seeped over greatly than normal
Mm-hmm.
because the heightened sense of fear, the heightened sense of emotion was overflowing for people,
Right.
especially in this area or overall.
Whew. Kendra, Perspectives is the book. People can get it. Thank you for giving us, or giving me, the perspective of what that experience, what that time was like, and yeah, for putting that into the universe, right? Putting it out there in terms of how to get a handle, get a kind of get come to grips with this difficult, experiences. And I'm kind of maybe wrestling a little bit with the words because what you've said is so heavy, and somehow we've already been talking for an hour. Somehow we
Mm-hmm.
have to. So clearly, for me, I want to motivate a listener to check out, well, to pick up Perspectives as a self coaching manual, for sure, with the link in the description and all that stuff. But how about I leave it to you? The the mission of the podcast is that life is a gift, that we have to make
Mm.
every second count. So
Yes.
coach us through, take us to school and coach us through there.
I do believe that every life is a gift, which goes back to everything we talked about from your wellness, physical, right? And how do we do that gift that I do look at? I'm hitting a milestone birthday of what that looks like for me, that knock on wood, I didn't have to fight through cancer like my mom, or, a stroke like my father by the time I'm reaching this age. So that's a milestone. But for that individual in that life is a gift, I think just spending a little bit of time each morning to process, I believe in the three things you're grateful for and the three things that you're hopeful for today. And then having an affirmation of that is something that is very important. That's just the start. And if you can't think of three things, just to think that I woke up this morning is enough to be grateful. Or think of your body parts, that I can write this, that I'm grateful. But the gratitude really plays a lot into this of where you are. So three things you're grateful for, three things you're hopeful for within the day, and what do you affirm about yourself that no one can tell you differently. And I think that will help you set the stage for the day. And if you hit a bad point in the day, go back to square one of those three things, those 3-3-1 that I talked about.
Kendra Q Dodd, thank you so much. This has
Yes,
been really
thank
great.
you.
You are so bright. You are so great. Thank you.
Thank you. I've enjoyed this so much. Thank you for letting me share.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So, is life really a gift? Really? Can you make every second count? That's the whole point of the podcast. So, if you like what you've seen and you're inspired, because that really is my mission, then please give it a like, subscribe, and share.
Shooting it raw?
Yes.